Welcome out to Robert A. Seibel Memorial Field as the Hudson Raiders have traveled to Somerset, Wisconsin to take on the Somerset Spartans. Last week, the Hudson Raiders went 1-0 by defeating Wisconsin Rapids 21-13, looking for win number 2 on the season. I'm Paul Winkles, and along with me is Chris Larson, as always. And Chris, last week's game, they came out 121-13, started off a little bit slow, but kind of as the game moved on, started to take control a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was one of those first game jitter type of things. You come in, you're not really ready for full game action, kind of what's going to happen. You feel yourself out. You have those butterflies in the stomach. Well, now they've seen what it's like to face somebody on the other side of the field, and we hopefully will see a little more sharp team this week. Try not to get some of those silly penalties, two guys in motion type penalties. So it should be a really good game, though. Last season, these two teams played each other. Not one team punted in that game. I mean, it was up and down the field type of game. 2 years ago, the last time this game was played on this field, Somerset won the game 22-6. Now, last year in that up and down the field type of game, Hudson came out with the victory 37-26. So these two teams are both very good, highly skilled teams. Both have a strong offense, and both feel confident in what they can do.
Somerset won the coin toss. They deferred to Hudson, and the Raiders will receive the ball. So Somerset setting up to kick here. And we are underway here in Somerset, Wisconsin. Ball goes to about the 10-yard line, received by the Raiders. Good patience there by the kick returner for the Raiders. They get it up to the 34-yard line where they'll be taken down, and that's where they will begin their first drive. And coming onto the field to play quarterback for the Raiders is Davey Branson. Bo Holmes not going to be playing in this game. He's in jeans on the sideline. He got hurt last week, and you have to give it to Davey Branson for playing a very good game last week.
Yeah, Branson looked really strong in relief of Holmes when he went down. Also, Andy Edholm, I think we saw him earlier tonight in jeans as well. So you'll see a backup in that position. But last week, Edholm's backup did a nice job there too as well.
The Raiders come out in shotgun. We saw a lot of this last week. Branson directly behind the center. He'll take the handoff, and he will hand it off up the middle. And they'll carry it for about 2 or 3 yards. That was Spencer Corum with the carry.
Corum
so set up a second and long.
Corum had 70 yards last week, in the top 10 in rushing in the Big Rivers Conference with that effort. He looked pretty good last week, once again in relief of Andy Edholm.
This is the offense we saw the Raiders do primarily all last week with the shotgun and different amounts of receivers and tight ends and whatnot, but they've been out of the shotgun pretty much all last week. Come out showing it again here. This time they have 2 wide receivers. And the handoff and the sweep to the outside, a couple yards gained there. That was by number 24, Travis Hilden, who came in motion. He goes to the far side, maybe picks up a few, and that will set up a third down, and it looks like about 6. Actually make it 8, according to the scoreboard. Up 3rd and 6.
And the Raiders looked like they were going to come up to the line of scrimmage quite quickly, and now they seem to have slowed it down. Maybe a play change there from the coaches on the sideline.
Derek Crummel is one of the receivers split out on the near side here. Once again, you've got Corum in the backfield. And now fake the handoff and fake the pitch. And Branson's going to take it himself. He gets the first down as he crosses to about the 47-yard line. So good play there by Branson as he continues to admirably fill in for the injured Bo Holmes.
Yeah, he's a junior. He looks pretty nice out there. Did a super job last week, and right there in a 3rd down and long, came up big with the keeper around the outside, and looked like they had the Somerset defenders all going right as they went left.
Now split out wide is Hilden on the near side. Once again, you've got Corum in the backfield. Hilden in motion. We get inside the box, and the handoff goes to Corum, and Corum will go up the middle to the 40-yard line. So big pickup there on first down as the Raiders will pick up another first down, and the ball will be placed at the 40-yard line where the Raiders will set up shop.
There's so many weapons and so much speed on the outside. It's surprising to see the big guy up the middle is ripping off the big runs. He did that last week too. The guy that goes up the middle, the fullback, pulled off the biggest runs.
Once again, Hilden on the near side, Corum in the backfield. Hilden in motion once again. Branson hands off once again to Corum up the middle. He'll pick up a few on first down. Make a second and about 7.
And that's kind of the point of that play. You keep pounding, get a couple yards here, a couple yards there, and then every once in a while there'll be that big hole, and you can get to that second and third level and tear off a big run and get yourself in position to score.
No huddle for the Raiders here as they have a pretty quick tempo coming out. Branson under center. Once again, Hilden comes in motion. He goes to the far side. Fake the handoff. Hilden will keep it, and he is wrapped up possibly behind the line of scrimmage, if not getting back to the original line. And that will set up a 3rd down and long.
Well, 3rd down and long last week. The Raiders weren't afraid to throw the ball. Branson looked pretty sharp, so you may see a pass here on 3rd down and about 6 yards.
Jordan Hansen in on the play for the Spartans. Raiders quickly getting the play onto the field, and they will set up. Splitting out wide this time is Derek Crummy, excuse me. Also Hilden out to the near side. And once again, Corum in the backfield. Shotgun formation. Branson will drop back. He's looking to throw. He looks over the middle, and the pass is dropped. That was Tyler Smith. And the ball hit him in one of his hands. Couldn't get his other hand up there to make the catch. And it's going to be 4th and 6, and we'll have to see. It looks like the Raiders are going to go for it.
The offense is still on the field. They're on the 40-yard line. You could punt and try to pin Somerset deep into their own territory, but last week Coach Coles wasn't too afraid of going for it on 4th down, and he doesn't appear to be here either.
Yep, and if you make a bad punt in this situation, you're pretty much punting for 10 yards anyways.
Absolutely. You may not net anything if you kick it into the end zone.
So, 3 wide receivers. Corum in the backfield. Branson in the shotgun. He'll take the snap, looking to pass again. He looks over the middle. Almost the same play, and it's intercepted. Spartans take it up the far side out to the 45, and that pass this time was intended for Hilden. Instead, it's intercepted by the Spartans, and they take it out to the 45-yard line. So maybe that punt into the end zone wouldn't have been that bad of a thing.
Yeah, you take the shotgun there. You take the shot at passing the ball and hoping to get yourself a 1st down there, and sometimes that happens. It really comes up just about as good as an incompletion there, but it'll make the Somerset crowd pretty happy to get the interception.
Spartans run their first play on offense. They'll carry it past the 50-yard line into Raider territory, spotted at the 49. Nice pickup there on 1st down.
Now, Paul, this football team knows how to run the ball. Last week they ran the ball for over 460 yards against Ladysmith, picking up over 500 yards of total offense. You'll see the quarterback, Rocky Larson, keeping himself, and they've also has a really, really strong running back behind him named Eric Walchak, and that's who had the carry right there.
Handoff goes up the middle again. Pick up of another few yards. Will set up a 3rd and short. That was Walzak once again.
Yeah, Rocky Larson, 4 touchdowns last week, one of 38 yards, another one of 63 yards. Walchek hit a 94-yarder last week against Ladysmith.
So this will set up a 3rd down and about 1 to go. Raiders looking to make their own defensive stop here. Man in motion again. Handoff goes up the middle. Actually, it looks like it might have been a quarterback keeper, and he might have gotten stuffed short of the 1st down. We'll have to see where they spot the ball.
That was Ethan DeNeuer there on the tackle. Nice tackle coming up there and stopping Larson in his tracks. Now, DeNeuer had 5 tackles last week, but unfortunately that stop not enough to stop Somerset from getting the 1st down.
So Rocky Larson on the keeper picks up the 1st down. Good start to this drive for the Spartans. So 1st down and 10 at the 45-yard line in Raider territory. Man in motion again. This time the handoff goes up the middle once again. Looks like Walzak with the carry. He'll get up to about the 42-yard line. Pickup of a few.
Not much going there, and that's the Hudson. That's the strength of this Hudson defense, is right up the middle there in the defensive line. And if those guys can dominate like they did in the second half last week, Somerset's going to run into a roadblock here.
Seen Dvorak go in motion quite a few times on this opening drive. This time the motion will come from the other side. Handoff up the middle and stuck right at the 40-yard line by the Raider defender. That was Walzak getting upended by number 9.
That's Chaz Larson, the All Big Rivers Conference first team selection in the preseason. Arthur Vinzant, another guy, we called his name quite a bit last week. He's there for mop-up duty to finish off that tackle. So about 3rd down and 5 here coming up for Somerset. Now, Somerset can throw the ball. It's not like Wisconsin Rapids last week who struggles throwing the ball. You may see some passes here.
Kickoff split out to the left side. Handoff goes up the middle. Diving ahead near the first down marker. We'll see where they spot it. And they're going to put it at about the 35-yard line.
That's going to be really close. And this is kind of the modus operandi from Somerset. They'll just grind it out, grind it out, grind it out, and then if they can hit a home run like they did last week against Ladysmith, they'll tear off a big one. But they're pleased just to move down the field, march down the field, and try to wear down your defense.
And the officials will say it is a first down, so they move the chains again. 5:56 here left in the first quarter. The Raiders' first drive ended on an interception on a 4th and 6. Back-to-back plays for the Raiders trying to attack the middle with a short pass play, and the second one got intercepted on 4th down. Spartans have been marching down the field very methodically. They're down to the 35-yard line. Handoff goes up the middle. Actually, Rocky Larson will keep it, and he will get stuffed at the 35-yard line.
That time, once again, Ethan Deneuer right in there to grab a hold of Rocky Larson and stop him from moving any forward. That was kind of an old-fashioned hog tie there. He just kind of grabbed him around the waist and said, "You're not going any further here, Mr. Larson."
Pick of about 1 will set up a 2nd and 9. Ball's on the 34-yard line, excuse me. Larson under center. Man in motion. And the delayed handoff. And moving to the far side before getting wrapped up. Nice tackle there by number 95, Ethan Denauer. We've been calling his name quite a few times on this opening drive.
Well, he's been really active, and it seems like Somerset's trying to go away from Chaz Larson, try to go the other way here, and Denauer has proved to be just as strong as Chaz Larson on his side of the line.
Dvorak with the carry. Pickup of 0, so it'll set up a 3rd down and 9 from the 34-yard line. Once again, man in motion. That's number 16, David Rivard. Rocky Larson barking out the signals under center, and he'll keep it himself. Larson trying to move towards the first down sticks. He will be short as he is tackled at about the 27-yard line. So that is going to set up a 4th down. We'll have to see what the Spartans decide to do here. We'll probably see them go for it as they're kind of in no man's land here.
That time, Jake Hayes kind of snuck around the offensive line, made that tackle behind. Nice sure tackle by Jake Hayes.
So we've got 2 wide receivers, 1 man in the backfield. Waiting for Larson. He's kind of looking to the sideline. Not quite sure what he's waiting for here. And they'll call a timeout as the coaching staff comes onto the field. First timeout charged to Somerset. So they're going to talk this one out a little bit on a 4th and 2 as we are at the 3:47 mark left in the first quarter. 0-0 is the score.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing out of Somerset what we expected to see. They're going to be really methodical, try to move the ball, and really one of the things that Somerset's going to look to do is try to keep the Hudson Raider offense over on the sideline over there. And as long as they can keep doing this and keep wearing down the defense, keeping their defense fresh, it's going to be better for Somerset. And this is kind of the way they operate. This is what they want to do. Got another 4th and short, and obviously we're not in a punting position, so they're going to go for it. They're just talking over what they're going to do. You got to think run. We haven't seen them pass, but last week this team did throw for about 75 yards, so they're not afraid to throw the ball.
But again, they ran for over 400, so, 4th and 2 when it comes down to crunch time, you're probably going to go with what got you there. 4th and 2, 26. We'll probably expect to see Walzak, maybe a Larson keeper here. Larson under center. He's got Walzak in the back. Man in motion, and the keeper by Larson will dive ahead, and he will pick up the first down as he crosses the 25-yard line.
That was a coach's son move right there. Rocky's the coach's son. His feet never stopped, and he got that second push. His first push, I think he was short. He gave her a second push and got himself over the spot there to get the first down.
And the drive continues. 3:44 left in the first. Sticks are set. Clock restarts. Larson under center. Man in motion, fumbled the snap, and he will just fall on it as a little bit of a mistake there between the center and the quarterback.
Another smart move there, just getting down on that ball. If he would have grabbed the ball, he was exposed. The line had already moved past him, and he would have had his head taken off there by the Hudson defense had he tried to pick up that ball and go with it.
So Larson decides to live to see another down. That down will be second. They'll actually lose a yard back to the 25-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and 11. Larson under center, man in motion again. He'll drop back to pass. He's looking over the middle, and it's intercepted by the Raiders. That's number 3, Michael Bennett, with his 2nd interception of the year. Last weekend he had a big one to stop a drive by Wisconsin Rapids, and this time he comes up with a huge interception as the Spartans were moving towards the red zone.
Absolutely. He made a huge play last week in that game when Rapids was moving the ball down the field, and that one was just as big. I mean, it looked like Somerset was headed towards the end zone. They were moving the ball down the field quite well, and that time decided to throw, and Michael Bennett, just superb hands in the defensive backfield for the Hudson Raiders.
And Bennett had his eyes on that ball the whole time. I'm not sure the receiver the ball was intended for saw it at any point. He wasn't looking, as his head was turned as the ball was intercepted by Bennett. And now the keeper by Branson. He will pick up a few yards here on 1st down. So you see the Spartans go away from the running game that got them all the way down the field, maybe trying to switch it up on the Raiders.
Well, maybe they thought that the Raider defense was kind of lulled to sleep with all those running plays and decided to try to pick up a nice chunk. But be interesting to see how they come back in their next drive. But Hudson Raiders kind of struggled a little bit moving the ball here in their last drive towards the end. Let's see what they can do here.
Shotgun Hilden out to the right. You got Tyler Smith out to the left. And the fake handoff, and Branson looked like he was going to either pass or maybe take off. Instead, he fell down. Looked like he slipped, and his knee touched the ground. And in high school, knee touching the ground is automatically down. You don't need a defensive player to touch you. So that will be a loss of a few yards. And we'll have a 3rd and long here for the Raiders.
That was looking to me like he was going to pass the ball the way he had the ball in his hands when he did slip. And now a 3rd down and 11. You got to think that they have to pass because this is definitely not 4th down territory here, backed up on their own 20-yard line.
Derek Cromai split out to the right. You've got Corum in the backfield. You've also got Smith and Hilden dropping back. And Branson is going to look for some space to try to run it. Looked like he was going to pass, but the pressure forced him up in the pocket where he is sacked. We do have a flag on the field, and we'll have to see what the officials are going to call on this, but this is definitely an offensive holding territory.
And that's what it is, Paul. I mean, I don't know how they held because there was seemed to be no blocking at all there. Branson had no chance there. He turned around to throw the ball, and there were 3 Somerset defenders right in his face. So usually when you have a play like that, it can't be holding because if you held him, you'd block a lot better than you did on that play.
Yeah, you'd hate to see the condition Branson would be in if that player didn't hold. As he had quite a few Spartans on his back right away. So we're going to have a punt here. Caleb Ryberg is back to punt. He will be punting from about his own 8-yard line. End over end punt, caught at about the 47. And the Spartans carrying it across the field. That's Rivard. He will take it to about the 37-yard line. We have a flag down on the field. We'll have to see maybe an illegal block here, as the ball will be spotted at the 37.
Nice open field tackle there, Michael Bennett. He's all over the field out there. Speedy guy and seems to be kind of all over the ball. He's a ball hawk.
So it will be an illegal block in the back. So Rivard's nice return will be brought back. We'll have to see where it's spotted. Not quite sure how they mark it, if it's from the spot of the foul.
It will be from the spot of the foul. One thing to keep an eye on here, Paul, Andy Edholm not playing tonight. They had a nice game out of Corum last week, and he's on the field tonight in Edholm's position. But Andy Edholm is the regular punter and kicker. So that's one thing to keep an eye on, is they don't have the regular punter and kicker out there.
And it wasn't too bad of a punt by Ryberg. He actually got about 40 yards on it, but it was a little bit low, allowing for Rivard to get some space in front of him. But with the illegal block in the back, it'll bring it back to about where the punt landed. So at the 49 is where the Spartans will begin their 2nd drive of the game. Both teams have had an interception, and the Raiders have also added a punt. Tackled in the backfield for a loss of 3 yards. Great defensive play there by number 9, Chaz Larson.
That play was sort of like a draw. It just took a long time to develop, and by the time it developed, the Hudson defensive line was right there and ready for the ball carrier.
So ball spotted at just outside the 49-yard line. Then it'll set up a 2nd and 11. So good start to this drive for the Raiders defense. Larson keeps the ball, and he's going to get stacked. Let's see, that is by number 9, Chaz Larson again. So Larson really wreaking some havoc in that backfield with the big sack. So 2 consecutive tackles for losses. That's going to set up a 3rd down and long for the Spartans.
Yeah, in the last drive, they kept going around the left side testing Denauer. Denauer passed the test, so they decided they're going to go to the right side where big Chaz Larson lurks over there, and that hasn't worked out quite the way they wanted it to.
Looks like that is going to be the last play of the first quarter as we are in a stalemate here. Both teams had initial drives that covered a pretty good distance on the field but ended with interceptions. I believe both were inside the 30 for either team. And the Raiders punted. So now we have the Spartans with the ball at the 48. But they've lost a few yards on their first couple downs, so it's going to be 3rd and 14 when we come back.
Pretty fast-moving quarter, wasn't it? Both teams, a lot of running. We saw 2 pass plays, and both pass plays didn't really work out the way the offensive team had hoped to. So a lot of running. That clock really ran pretty quickly. It was a very fast quarter, and no score. But I wouldn't say that just because we didn't have a score, it wasn't an exciting game. Seen some really nice defensive plays on the Hudson side, and the Somerset Spartans sure look like they're up for this game.
Definitely. So the 3rd and 14. If you're the Spartans, you're a team that likes to run the ball, over 400 rushing yards. Last week they've had 1 passing play in this game, and that went for an interception. So it'll be interesting to see what the call is here. You'd have to assume pass, but so far 0 for 1 today with an interception.
Well, this might be a good spot to run a draw or a screen or something and try to pick up half of those yards, and then you've got yourself a decision. You'd be on the other side of the 50. Your defense has played well. Maybe you would go for it if it doesn't quite work out. So I would look for a draw or a screen.
So the teams will switch sides here as there's 12 minutes on the clock, just starting the second quarter. 0-0 is the score here at Robert A. Seibel Memorial Field in Somerset, Wisconsin. Man in motion. And the keeper by Rocky Larson, and he is going to get tackled once again behind the line of scrimmage. So 3 consecutive plays tackled behind the line. Larson shaking his head as he runs off the field.
That time it was Ethan Denauer, though, getting a hold of Rocky Larson, not letting him go anywhere. You got to think that Somerset, and they do send the punt team in. They're going to have to punt here. The Raiders will get an opportunity to get that offense out there and get going. They seem to be kind of a slow starting team. They did that last week, and last season was kind of the same thing. In the first quarter, they just kind of try to see what's going on, and they make adjustments. It's one thing the Raiders do well is make adjustments.
So except for a turnover, you couldn't hope for a better defensive possession there for the Raiders. Punt lands inside the 30 where it's scooped up, and Michael Bennett takes it to about the 24-yard line. So pretty good punt there for Somerset as they get the ball inside the 25.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to kick it very far if you don't allow any kind of return. You know, he netted about 25, almost 30 yards just by kicking the ball towards the corner there and not allowing a return.
Got a nice bounce as well on the end-over-end kick. It's kind of a coin toss with the end-over-end. So the Raiders offense is back on the field. They've got 4 wide receivers. Branson in the shotgun. He's got Corum behind him, and he will hand off to Corum. Corum will go up the middle to about the 30-yard line, so a good pickup on first down for the Raiders.
That was a play that worked really well for the Raiders in that first drive, right at the middle to Corum, and now they're coming back to it. After trying some edges in the last few series, they go right back to going up the middle and picked up a nice chunk of yardage there, about 5 yards on first down.
So a very manageable 2nd and 5 here for the Raiders offense. Split out to the near side. You've got Zach Beinlich along with Tyler Smith. Smith comes in motion, and we're going to have a flag here before the play starts. We'll have to see probably an offensive penalty here. We'll just see if it's a formation, maybe a false start.
Yeah, nothing can be more frustrating for a coach when you're just running a play. You have good success. It looks like, hey, we're going to get the momentum back in this ball game, and then just shoot yourself in the foot with a penalty like that. So goes from second and short to second down and long. Just one little flinch there on the offensive line.
So it's as if Corum's run never happened. We're at 2nd and 10. Corum in the backfield again. Branson in the shotgun. He's got 4 wide receivers. Beinlich along with Tyler Smith. He's dropping back to pass. He's looking deep for Beinlich, and he misses him. He had the defensive back fall down. Defensive backs are looking for a push-off here on Beinlich. Beinlich had the height advantage, but looked like he kind of pulled up a little bit and tried to jump for the ball instead of running through it. Might have had a better chance to catch it.
Yeah, the Hudson Raiders receivers are going to have a height advantage on just about every defensive back they face this year. Rocky Larson did a nice job in the coverage there, but if the receivers are allowed to be physical out there, it's going to be tough for the defenders to stop these guys.
Beinlich, 6'4", 200 pounds. Split out left again with Tyler Smith. And Branson will look over in the middle, and that ball is deflected. So the pass is over the middle, not working so far for the Raiders. Actually, neither team has completed a pass, if I'm correct. And the Raiders are going to be forced to punt, so a good defensive stand by the Raiders, followed up by a good defensive stand by the Spartans.
Paul, that was one of those deals that they had a nice run play, looked like they were going to get it going. That penalty just turned that drive around. It went from we can run the ball to we have to pass the ball, and that changed the complexion of that drive.
It's amazing how 5-yard penalties can really alter the complexion of a drive, and you saw it right there. Good punt here by the Raiders. That'll roll all the way down inside the 30-yard line. So a great punt by the Raiders.
They pulled that one right out of Somerset's playbook. They kicked it down the sideline and got the coverage there to follow it down, didn't allow a return, and that ball really bounced down the sideline there.
And it pretty much stopped on the first blade of grass that was out of bounds, so a perfect punt right there.
Well, the Raider defense showed up big in the last drive for Somerset. It'll be interesting to see what kind of changes that the Somerset offense tries to come up with here to try to outguess the Hudson Raider defense.
10-11 here left in the second quarter. We do not have a score yet. A lot of good defensive plays and no real big gains for either side of, or for either offense. Handoff goes up the middle. That'll go for a couple yards. Walzak will pick up maybe 3 on the play. We'll set up his second down.
This looks like it's going to be a grinding out type of game. Last week, Somerset was able to rip some off, some big yard plays, but looks like for both offenses tonight, yardage is going to come at a pretty difficult price.
2nd and 7 for the Spartans. They are at the Raiders' 34-yard line. Larson under center has a man in motion, and Larson will keep it himself, and he will get stuck. Gets to about the original line of scrimmage, maybe picks up a yard.
Well, you really have to like the way the Raiders are tackling right now. It's not one guy bringing a man down. It's one guy grabbing a man and about 4 guys right behind him there to add to the pile. That's at some point tonight, that's really going to pay dividends. You could see a fumble, or if anything, it's just wearing out the Somerset offense.
We've seen Somerset try to go up the middle quite a bit, and that defensive line that got progressively better all last week has really been playing well so far early in this game. And now a pitch to the outside, and that is going to go for a loss of quite a few yards as the tackle is made at about the 27-yard line. So that will be a loss of maybe 6.
Jazz Larson looks like a man-child out there. He's not allowing anything. Anything comes near him, whoever comes near him is going to the ground.
So the pitch moves the wrong direction for the Spartans. And defense continues to be the word of the day here, as we're going to have the Spartans punting the ball. Michael Bennett once again back there to receive the punt. Nice punt. Good spiral. Bennett has it. He'll cut it to the near side. Tries to cut it back inside, and he's tackled at the 45-yard line. Good job of Bennett to hold on to the ball as he had it exposed there for a little bit.
The Raiders have the best starting field position they've had all game right here, so it'll be interesting to see if they can get the ball moving and get the ball into the end zone in this drive. They only have to go about 54 yards to put it in the end zone here.
8:23 left here in the second quarter. Raiders beginning, I believe, their 3rd offensive possession. Could be wrong. They've had a quick one on their last one. It might be their 4th. But so far, 0 points on the board. That's all you need to know. Branson in the shotgun. And he will fake the handoff. He'll keep it himself, and he'll get a nice gain on first down as he crosses midfield and gets to about the 49-yard line of the Spartans.
And this is one of those spots that maybe you just stop being fancy. Let's just run the ball at him. You've got a great offensive line. Let's push against these guys and see what can happen. I mean, we've seemed to kind of try to be fancy and dance around them here in this game, and now maybe let's just march up to the middle of the field and see what we can do if we try to push these guys out of the way.
So once again in the shotgun, got Beinlich out to the left. And you've got Hilden and Smith. Hilden takes the handoff. He comes in the near side. He'll dance out along the sideline. He'll get near the first down marker. Actually, he stepped out a couple yards short of it. Looks like they'll spot it at about the 47-yard line. We'll set up a third down and short for the Raiders.
Hilden last year as a sophomore, we didn't see him, but as a junior this year, he's in that kind of speed spot, the same type of spot that Tyler Smith plays in. He looked pretty impressive last week. The times he carried the ball, he looked really good.
So you've got Hilden out right, Smith to the left, and you've got Corum in the backfield. Branson in the shotgun. He'll take it himself. He'll sneak it up the middle, and he'll get the first down and then some. He'll get to about the 38-yard line. Actually, it looks like the Spartans are saying that he fumbled, but it looks like the officials are pointing to the ball being down at the 39.
Sometimes you outsmart yourself, Paul. You try to go out there and run a fancy offense and just see how good your team can be, and sometimes it's better off just to run the ball up the middle. When you've got a big team like this, I mean, the Raiders have a lot more guys standing on the sidelines in Somerset. Just start wearing these guys down and letting your big guys take over in the front there and moving the ball forward.
Got a lot of big guys on the field. Number 78, Cunningham, 310 pounds, so definitely a lot of muscle up front. Fake the handoff. Branson's going to keep it himself. Nice spin move. He'll get past the 30 to about the 29. Actually, they'll spot it at about the 30. So that'll be near first down. Great play by Branson. Nice spin move to pick up extra yardage.
That's a beautiful move, and it really erupted the Hudson Raider fans. The whole side over there is kind of a full house over there, and they've kind of been quiet so far this game, and right there kind of awoken everybody, and now the crowd's in it for the Hudson Raiders.
So Branson will get back in the shotgun. He's got two wide receivers with Corum in the backfield. Smith moving in motion. He'll stay in to block. The handoff goes to Corum up the middle. He'll pick up the first down, and he'll get inside the 25-yard line. Ball will be spotted at the 24, so another first down for the Raiders, and they keep those chains moving with exactly what you said, just kind of a grinded-out drive. Don't do anything fancy. Just use your offensive line and push forward.
Yeah, it's not a pretty play, but if you think about last week's game, those were the big ones that Corum ripped off, was just right up the middle.
Shotgun two wide. Corum behind Branson. Smith moves in motion. He'll stay in to block again. Corum takes it, and he'll go up the middle for a few. See where they spot it, but pick up of a couple yards on first down.
Yeah, sometimes you're not going to get the big chunks, but every time you put that ball in there, every time you push the guys right up the middle, the running back coming through the line, and you've got those guards pulling, hitting the defensive lineman. It's just going to wear them down as the game goes on.
Shotgun two wide. Tyler Smith out left. Hilden out right. Branson, 2nd and 9 in the shotgun. This time Hilden will move in motion, and a flag will come down. We'll have to see what the call is here, but most likely on the Raiders pre-play.
Yeah, that's one of those deals. You know, the one thing the Raiders do, they always move guys in motion. There's a lot of guys moving around in the backfield, and even if it's not two guys in motion at the same time, when those offensive linemen are sitting there and there's guys running around behind them, it's tough not to be spooked the whole game. So, you know, that's maybe just a product of the way that they run the offense and use that motion so much. You may just give up a few of those type of penalties.
They didn't give us a number as far as the false start, but that is the second consecutive Hilden in motion that went for a false start, as it's the one that killed the drive on the last one for the Raiders. Beinlich, 6'4" receiver out left. Also with Tyler Smith, you got two wide receivers out right. Man in motion is Hilden. And Hilden will take the handoff, and he will get stuck and pushed back to the 35-yard line. And that's going to set up a 3rd down and very long for the Raiders. They were already at 2nd and 14. This will make it almost a 3rd and 20.
Yeah, you kind of say all those penalties are a product of the way they run the offense, but that penalty killed the last drive, and now this penalty's really backed this drive up. And last game, the second quarter, when the Raiders had that drive going, the penalty stopped that one too. So penalties, even though they seem like a small deal, only 5 yards, really change what you can do as an offense.
So make it 3rd and 21. Have to expect just a drop back and fire it up. Maybe look for Beinlich on a fade here. He's going to fake it, and he's looking towards Beinlich. You got the 6'4" Beinlich to catch it at the goal line. He'll get in the end zone for the touchdown. There's a flag down, and barring an offensive pass interference, Beinlich will have the touchdown.
That there is a product of a guy being 6'4" and a guy covering him that's not 6'4". And Beinlich just stopped and leaped up there and caught it, but
and it's going to be
penalty,
an
it's
offensive
coming back.
pass interference. So it's going to get pushed back. So tough to, I didn't quite see it on that play. I thought that was a pretty clean play, but they'll call offensive pass interference, and that'll make it a 3rd and a quarter of the field, or a 3rd of the field.
Paul, earlier in the game when they kind of ran that pass play to Beinlich, the coaches and the defensive back were both kind of making their case with the official that there was offensive pass interference. That may just be a product of the official was really looking for it because of the last play, that last time they tried to throw it to Beinlich. Both the coaches and the defensive back, Rocky Larson, kind of made a big deal of it. So when the officials are paying close attention after something like that, it doesn't take much of a shove to get the flag out of the pocket.
And, you know, it's hard. There's something to be said, I believe, as the punt team comes on the field. There's something to be said about a guy who's 6'4", matching up one-on-one with a much shorter player, that if you're just trying to get your normal position, that smaller player can look like he's getting roughed up a little bit, and that might have been the case on that play.
Yeah, I used to see that with Shaquille O'Neal all the time. He would clear a guy out just because he was 7 foot tall and 320 pounds, and he would get some penalties or some fouls called against him just because of the size of the man that he was.
So if there's any consolation to the Knicks touchdown, it's a good punt that will land inside the 15-yard line for the Raiders.
Yep.
Very interesting call to punt on 3rd down there.
It was 4th down. The man with the sticks just didn't get it moved over. You lose your down there on that play.
So you lose your down and the yardage. Okay. Suppose play-by-play guy should know his high school football rules.
Well, the guys with the sticks didn't know either.
I'll blame them. So 1st down, if we can trust the guys with the sticks. Spartans handoff up the middle. That'll go for a few yards. As we are in a defensive battle here, 4:06 left in the second quarter. We have no score. The Raiders got a touchdown to Beinlich on that last play, but he pushed off according to the officials, and we're still knotted at 0.
Well, if the Raiders defense can play the way they have in this quarter, the Raiders should start off their next drive in pretty good field position. They just need to keep playing the way they have.
Yeah, if they can stop them here, they'll probably get the ball back closer to the end zone than where they punted from. Handoff goes up the middle, and he'll break free out to the 40-yard line. Not quite sure who had that carry. Actually, that was Walczak. So that'll go for a 1st down and more out to the 28, or 38, excuse me. So there's your first big offensive play of the game for either team, really. 16 yards on the carry, so that'll be a 1st and 10 at the 38 as we're inside 3:33 left in this half.
Yeah, that might have put the kibosh in any opportunity that Hudson able to get the ball back here in a good field position unless they can get a turnover.
Handoff up the middle, goes for about 5, maybe 6 yards. So a good pickup on 1st down for the Spartans. That was Walczak.
Well, that's kind of what they do. They're just going to keep pushing, and hope to break one like Walczak did 2 plays ago.
And I believe it looked like a defensive holding call. Oh, face mask, excuse me. A little hard to see the arm motions from up here. Face mask will tack on another 15 yards. So 16 yards on the carry, followed by a 6-yard carry and a 15-yard penalty. And just like that, the Spartans are at the 40-yard line in Raider territory. So What a momentum shift from what we thought was a 7-0 Raider lead just a few moments ago.
When you rarely see a face mask in tight quarters like that. And you hate to give up 15-yard chunks with this half about to come to a close.
Man in motion, handoff up the middle, and it looks like Walzak will be tackled right at the line of scrimmage.
And
Set up a 2nd and 10.
You really hate to give up those 15-yard penalties when your defense has been playing as well as it has.
We're at 2:53 left here in the first half. 0-0 is the score. We're at Robert A. Seibel Memorial Field, in Somerset, Wisconsin, where the Spartans are looking to get on the board before the half expires. Raiders defense, which has done a good job all half, is trying to continue their solid play. Larson will keep it himself. He'll dive ahead, and he'll pick up a few yards. Maybe get that penalty back as he gets to the 35-yard line. Excuse me, there was no penalty. That was on the Spartans, or on the Raiders.
3rd down and 5 here. That clock ticking down. You got to figure they're thinking they're in 4-down territory, but Coach Bruce Larson just calls another timeout. We're going to talk about this. Get a play that they want here, and like we say, with the field position that they're in and the clock where it is, you got to figure this is definitely 4-down territory for the Somerset Spartans.
So
the Raiders at this point just have to try to slow this team down and try not to give up a score. I don't think we're going to see an extra point or a field goal here. They just need to keep these guys back on the other side of the 20 and try to get into this locker room with a 0-0 ball game. Come back out in the second half. Raiders were pretty strong in the second half last week. They're usually a second half football team, so they'd really like to get into the locker room without giving up a score.
Now, high school, it's very difficult to know the strengths of each individual team's kickers, as you don't get a lot of scouting reports on those. But what would you say is the point that the average high school kicker would need to get to be in field goal range? Would you say about the 20?
I would say most kickers, for most teams, you'd probably have to have the line of scrimmage around the 10-yard line. I mean, there's some gifted kickers out here. I know Somerset did miss an extra point last week, and they do go for 2 quite often. So I would guess with that evidence, they don't have a kicker that they really believe in.
Set up a 3rd down and 4. They'd just like to avoid Walzak, and he will get the first down, and he'll get to about the 25-yard line. So the Spartans moving towards the red zone of the Raiders. We're at 2:01 as the clock is stopped with the first down. So the Spartans now picking up the tempo a little bit, going no huddle. Handoff goes up the middle once again, and Walzak will pick up another chunk. He'll be inside the 20. So it looks like the Spartans are just kind of quickly getting up to the line and trying to wear out that defensive line. 7 yards on that carry. Another quick handoff up the middle, and this time he will get stuffed. So Walzak went to the well a few too many times there, as he will get stuck around the line of scrimmage. We'll have to see if he picked up anything, but it's going to be 3rd down.
That time Arthur Vinzant just blasted through there, put the first hit on Walzak and really slowed him down so the rest of their crew could come and clean it up.
Still no huddle, and the handoff will go to Walzak. And he will pick up near 1st down yardage. I believe it'll be a 1st down. We'll see where they mark it.
So the clock stops as they move the chains here.
They will say it is a 1st down. As we're at 1:14 left here in the half. And the Spartans look like they're just going to keep pounding it ahead. This time Larson keeps it, and he'll sneak ahead for a little chunky yardage. So the no-huddle up-tempo seems to be catching the Raider defense off a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to stop the clock as a defense, but this might be a situation where you call a timeout, and that's exactly what Coach Coles is doing. You want to call that timeout and just kind of get your defense regrouped. Let them get a rest here because Somerset's moved up the line of scrimmage very quickly here for about 5 or 6 plays in a row. So call that timeout, let your guys get a little rest, catch their breath, and have a talk because we're sitting here at about the 10, 11-yard line up. Checked at the 8-yard line with about a minute left to go. It may be tough digging if they decide to keep running here. So you kind of want to have a talk here and, again, just get guys a chance to get their head refocused again on what they need to do.
So we saw both teams try to get a little bit fancy earlier in the game. The last few drives, you've kind of seen them just move forward, get the ball into the hands of one of their backs, and just push ahead with that offensive line. And it worked good for the Raiders until some penalties derailed their drives. And on this drive, the Spartans quickly getting up to the line, going no huddle, and it seems like every play they're just kind of chipping away with 7 or 8 yards, and they marched all the way down to about the 8-yard line.
And don't forget, Paul, the Raiders did give up that face mask penalty for 15 yards on this drive as well.
So penalties really hurting the Raiders here as they are tied 0-0 with the Spartans, but the Spartans are on the doorstep. 57 seconds left in the first half. Larson under center. He's got Walzak in the back. Dvorak moves in motion. Larson will keep it himself. He gets stuffed. Gets up to about the 5-yard line. As we move under 50 seconds here. Spartans quickly moving back into position. And we'll have 3rd and 6 here. As the handoff goes up the middle and Walzak is stuffed. So this is going to set up an interesting situation here. As we're at 33 seconds left. There's no first down. We have a timeout by the Spartans. Looks like it's going to be a 4th and short. You're in that field goal range, but you also haven't been this close all game.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see a field goal right here, but you very well could. They are on the far hash mark, but I'm guessing you're going to see the Somerset Spartans try to move the ball forward here, get a first down, and then look at getting the ball in the end zone, because if they do get the first down, the clock will stop. They'll have an opportunity to call a play. But I got to tell you, the Hudson Raider defense looks a lot better after they called that timeout. They're able to kind of get themselves assembled and, again, just catch your breath and just kind of get your head right as the Spartans were moving the ball on them quite well before that timeout.
Yep, they really tightened up inside that 10-yard line as the ball is down at the 4 now. So the Raiders defense has to be pretty excited about the prospects of stopping them and having the momentum going into the half, as the Spartans will be going for it. 4th and 2 from the 4-yard line. They can still pick up a first down and call a timeout. Larson under center. And he will keep it himself. He gets wrapped up and stuffed on 4th down. So we have a turnover on downs with 29 seconds left in the first half. And that is sure to pump up the crowd and the defense for the Raiders, as the offense gives them some congratulatory helmet slaps as they come onto the field, knowing that they just swung the momentum completely in the Raiders' favor.
Yeah, that was absolutely huge to come up with that stop. If Somerset goes into the locker room here with the touchdown, I mean, that would have to really be a tough thing on the morale of the Hudson Raiders. But to be able to come out here with a stop, then go into the locker room feeling good about themselves, Somerset will get the ball first in the second half, but the Raider defense has looked quite sharp tonight.
The Raiders in the victory formation is what you could call it, but I guess you could call that a victory, as they stopped them right inside the 5-yard line, and they will kneel on the ball, and we will go into the half. So 0-0, couldn't figure out anything in an entire half of play, Chris. We're going to have a very exciting second half.
You know, last time these two teams played down in Hudson, last year, second game of the season, both offenses just marched the ball down the field. It was a very high-scoring game, over 60 points scored in that game. And now tonight at the half, we go in at 0-0. We talked to some of the Somerset coaches here in the press box as we walked in tonight, and both of them said, boy, we really think Hudson looks a lot better on defense this year than they did last year. And that's the way it's looked in this game. Both teams look pretty solid on defense, but we have to have some scoring in the second half, or we're going to be here all night, right? Somebody's going to have to score.
And I believe our press box roommates weren't quite as excited about the defensive stop as we were up here.
They were thrilled when bad things were happening to Hudson, and so it's kind of a take back and forth type of thing up here.
There's a little tension in the press box. You know how coaches can get.
Yeah, it was. It's obvious that we're over here on the Somerset sideline tonight. Got a really great place to shoot the game up here in the press box, but you will hear the folks get pretty loud over here when things aren't going so well for Hudson. But in the Big Rivers Conference this week, really, really big game. You got Cedarburg traveling to Chippewa Falls tonight. Cedarburg, number 6 in the state. They got about 3 guys that are possible D1 recruits. Now, Chippewa Falls was down 14-0 last week to Holman, came back and won that game. Here's another really big test for Chippewa Falls. And, of course, Chippewa will be the opponent for the Hudson Raiders in 2 weeks for homecoming on September 18th. So you got to think Chippewa might come in a little bit dinged up after a very, very difficult non-conference schedule. And speaking of very difficult non-conference schedule, Superior tonight is on the road in D.C. Everest. Now, D.C. Everest, really a big program in the state of Wisconsin. Last week, Superior took on Stevens Point. That's got to be the toughest non-conference schedule in the state. Stevens Point and then D.C. Everest. Also in the conference tonight, New Richmond traveling to Rice Lake. Rice Lake won at Medford last week. La Crosse Central at Eau Claire North. Eau Claire Memorial at La Crosse Logan. Both the Eau Claire schools lost big to both the La Crosse schools last week. This week they flip-flop. Then we've got River Falls at Ellsworth. River Falls ran for 250 yards last week in their big win over New Richmond. And Menominee, last week they took on Marshfield at home. Really big game in the state. This week they take on another Wisconsin Valley opponent in Wausau West. Wausau West kind of one of the doormats of that Wisconsin Valley Conference. So not quite as big a test for Joe Labuta's crew. Last week they lost to Marshfield. They were trailing 35-7, come back and tie it up with just under a minute left to go. They go to overtime in that ball game, and unfortunately for Menominee, they missed an extra point in overtime, and it cost them. They lost 42-41.
What a way to go. Missed extra point.
Yeah, it's a tough way to go. And speaking of tough way to go, next week, the Hudson Raiders will make the long road trip up to Superior. And like I said before, the Superior Spartans taking a really, really tough non-conference schedule. So the Raiders could go into that game playing against a team that's pretty nicked up from playing 2 really, really good football teams, or they could go into that game playing on a Superior Spartans team that may go, hey, these Hudson guys are a piece of cake. We just played Stevens Point and D.C. Everest. These guys aren't so bad. So you could look at it 2 different ways in that big game next week up in Superior.
That's where we will be next week. We'll be covering that for Channel 15. And you can catch these games on all week. And we'll be having quite a few games on throughout the season. Paul Winkle's announcing with Chris Larson here at Robert A. Seibel Memorial Field. We'll take a break for halftime, and we will be back in the second half. 0-0 is the score as the Raiders are in Somerset taking on the Spartans. Defensive battle so far. We'll see you back in the second half. Welcome back to Robert A. Seibel Memorial Field in Somerset, Wisconsin. We're just about to be underway here in the second half. 0-0 is the score. Hudson received the ball to start the game, so Somerset will get the ball here to start the second half. And pretty much defense has been the main story here of the whole game as we're deadlocked at 0.
Yeah, both offenses have failed to get the ball to the end zone. Some penalties have killed some drives and just haven't been able to move. Good defense by both teams as well.
Kickoff down to about the 10-yard line. They'll do a reverse. Ball comes to about the 25. Might add some more room to run if they want to run into their own blocker. So Somerset will begin at the 25.
Yeah, sometimes the trickery tricks yourself out.
So runs right into the back of his teammate. And we will have a first down and 10 at about the 25.
Let's see if the Hudson defense can take over where they left off in the second half, that big goal line stop.
Rocky Larson, the quarterback, he'll hand off up the middle. And that'll go to Walzak for a nice carry on first down. And Walzak really kind of led that drive that got halted at the 4-yard line for Somerset. They marched all the way down the field. A couple of big running plays and a big penalty by the Raiders pushed them down to about the 4, but the big defensive stop right before the half has us at 0. And they continue to pound it with Walzak. And Walzak will get a first down.
Got short yardage there, but they got what they needed. Last week, the Raiders gave up that big 60-yard play right to open the second half. This time they gave up a big 6-7-yard play, so not quite the damage that they suffered last week in that first play of the second half, and hopefully they can settle down here and shut down the Somerset offense.
First and 10 from the 35, once again to Walzak up the middle. And Walzak, if he can just keep picking up 8 yards at a time, We're not going to be deadlocked at 0 for long.
Yeah, you just clip away, clip away. You don't need to get 60, 70 yards. If you can go down the field and get 6, 7 at a time, you're going to keep moving those chains.
You get 3 yards of play, you'll get a first down. Larson hands off to Walzak again, and there's that 7 to 8 yards as he gets to midfield at the 50-yard line. So this is looking a lot like that drive where Somerset went no huddle towards the end of the first half. This time they are huddling up, but similar results to that previous drive. Paul Winkle's here with Chris Larson. We're in Somerset, Wisconsin, as the Raiders are taking on the Spartans. Hand off again to Walzak. This time he gets stopped at the line of scrimmage. Maybe spins ahead for one. We'll set up a 2nd and long.
One thing we're seeing a lot of out of Somerset here is they're not running plays that take a long time to develop. They're going quick hitter to the guy right behind the quarterback, and they're sneaking them in there and getting that yardage before the Hudson defensive line is able to bust past their blocker.
2nd and 10. Larson hands off once again to Walzak, and he'll pick up about 4 yards. We'll set up a 3rd down and about 6 from the 47-yard line.
And again, that quick hitter, that's pretty much what they've been doing the whole time. It'll be interesting, and this is definitely something that you're seeing. Somerset made a determination. This is what they needed to do in the second half. Interesting to see what kind of adjustments the Hudson Raiders make on their offensive possession.
Need to get to about the 40, and Larson will get tackled short of the first down by about 3 yards, and that was Ethan Denauer with the big tackle. We'll set up a 4th down and short as the ball is spotted at the 44, so make it about 4th and 4. The offense looks like it's going to stay on the field.
Yeah, they're on the 45-yard line. Both these teams have shown that they're not afraid to go for it on 4th down.
2 wide receivers split to the outside. Larson under center, man in motion. And Larson will pitch it, and it's fumbled backwards, and the ball is placed at the 44-yard line. Total miscommunication there as the pitch to Rivard. Rivard wasn't even looking at the ball.
Yeah, somebody was miscommunicating on that play, and now the Hudson Raiders, their best field position of the game, best starting field position. And let's see if they made some adjustments here in the locker room and see what they look like on offense. But Somerset looked like they definitely made an adjustment and ran a little bit different offense this time.
And they are very lucky that it is not 6-0 because you had a lot of defensive pursuit and only one offensive player near the ball. The Raiders will take it near midfield as Branson will get stuffed. Maybe a loss of a yard on first down as he keeps it. He'll be at the 50, so that'll set up a 2nd down and long.
We talked a little bit last week, Paul, about the advantages and disadvantages of that shotgun formation. That's a disadvantage. If that ball gets a little bobbled when the snap comes back, it'll throw the whole timing of the playoff. And that was supposed to be a draw there, and it just didn't time out right.
Split out wide. Derek Kremai out left. Looks like you've got Zach Beinlich. Handoff goes to Tyler Smith. Smith on the near side. Makes a couple moves. Shifts his feet around. Gets to about the 40-yard line. That'll be near a first down. We'll see where they spot the ball.
We didn't see a whole lot of Smith in the first half. Maybe that's the adjustment by the Raiders in this half, is getting the ball to him. He's pretty effective, very effective last year, and looked pretty good when he had his hand on the ball last week too. So maybe it's be a good idea to get the ball in his hands a little more here in the second half.
Showed very quick feet, some quick cuts there on that run. Was able to turn it upfield. Create a nice 3rd and short, about 1 or 2 yards for the Raiders. So they're going to go with a big formation here. As Branson's going to be under center for possibly the first time here today. Got 3 backs in the backfield. The handoff will go to the furthest back player who dives forward. Looks like Tyler Smith again. He'll get to the 21-yard line, so big gain there on 3rd and short. And the Raiders almost in the red zone here of the Spartans.
Yeah, we don't see too much of the power eye out of this team. And that was a very nice-looking run by Smith. He got low, and that's what you want to do on 3rd and 1. Just get low, and he got through that first line of defenders and just kind of dove forward to get as many yards as he could.
34-yard line. where the Raiders will set up. Shotgun once again, Branson. He's got two wide receivers, man in the backfield. And the handoff once again goes to Tyler Smith. He's got some space. He turns the corner. He's got one man to beat, and he gets upended inside the 20-yard line. He's marked down at about the 16, so riding Tyler Smith all the way down the field, although we do have a flag on the play.
Yeah, and that's kind of in the area of holding, too. I'm guessing we're going to go backwards. And hopefully this penalty doesn't do to the Hudson Raiders what these other penalties have done so far tonight. It seems like the Raiders have really got the engines going, and it seems like every time they really get it going, there's a penalty, and it puts a stop to what they're trying to do, both on the offense and the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. It seems like every time, like, the momentum seems completely on the side of the Raiders, they'll get a penalty, either offensively or defensively, and that'll push them back. So this will set up a first down and 20, and suddenly your whole game plan is thrown off because you can't just chip away with some run plays here. You got to think outside your, outside the box a little bit here, as you have to pick up 20 yards instead of 10.
Well, at least they still have a full set of downs. If that happens to you in 2nd and 10, that's a pretty tough penalty, but still have a full set of downs.
Got two wide receivers, two tight ends, a man in the backfield in the shotgun. Hilden in motion, and the keeper by Branson, and Branson will pick up a good chunk of that penalty back as he will get almost down to the 30-yard line, so great play there by Branson with the keeper. Will pick up a lot of that yardage back.
Yeah, if you're going to get a penalty, you want to get it on first down, so you still have that option to run, and boy, Branson did a nice job there. Pick up about 12 yards. Now we've got much more manageable second down there, and 2nd down and 8.
We're under 6:40 here left in the third quarter. We still do not have a score. Two wide ends, two tight ends, and a man in the backfield. Branson in the shotgun. Man in motion is Smith. He'll stay in the box. The handoff goes to Corum. Edholm is out for today. Corum gets the carry, and he gets tripped up, maybe tripped over his own feet. So a gain of maybe 1 if he was lucky is going to set up a 3rd and long.
Yeah, now you may see a pass, or you could see that screener draw. You got to think we're in 4-down territory, so you could see a screen here. The Raiders ran a really, really nice screen in a very similar position last week against Wisconsin Rapids.
Definitely in that 4-down area of the field. Beinlich, the 6'4" receiver, is out left. He's got single coverage on him. Looks like Branson's looking his direction as he's barking out some orders. Branson will hand off up the middle and moving towards the sticks. That was Corum. Not enough for the first down, though. We'll have to see if they decide to go for it. You'd have to assume so, as they're just outside the 25-yard line.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to go for it. We got a man down. That man down is Rocky Larson. So this could be a very big injury for Somerset if Rocky Larson's not able to keep going. He's obviously their quarterback on the offensive side of the ball, but he's really their key defensive back on the defensive side of the ball.
Trainers are looking at his leg. We can't see which leg they're looking at there.
He doesn't appear to be in a lot of pain. I mean, he's not writhing around in pain, but obviously certainly not under his own power. He's just kind of laying back as the trainers are working his legs and seeing what the extent of his injuries could be.
Doesn't seem to be too urgent, as both offenses and defenses will move to their own sideline. Regroup a little bit here as we have no officials timeout.
Yeah, you don't want to have one of your best players go down, but this could be an opportunity for the Somerset coaching staff to kind of get their defense settled down a little bit the way the Raiders were able to do at the end of the first half.
We're at 5:30 left here in the third quarter. Scoreboard says 4th and 5. I believe that is wrong. It'd be a 4th and shorter than that.
Yeah, it's probably a short 4 or a long 5, or I'm sorry, short 5 or long 4, but it's definitely a sizable chunk of yardage. Larson up on his feet and walking off the field under his own power.
So good to see Larson be able to walk off the field. Not quite sure what the problem could have been. Maybe a cramp in his leg.
Yeah, it looked like either a cramp or an ankle. I mean, he was a little ginger walking off, but he didn't seem to be favoring a knee or anything like that. So
the Raiders, 4th and 5. They were going for it. They need to get to about the 25-yard line. Make that the 24-yard line. In the shotgun is Branson. They got 3 wide receivers. 1 man in the backfield. Branson drops back to pass. He'll look over in the middle, and it's tipped. Tyler Smith had his hands on the ball, couldn't bring it in. Good play there by the defensive backs of the Spartans. And it seems like that pass over the middle is the one they keep going to on that 4th and short, and they haven't converted on any of them.
Yeah, it just hasn't developed. And last week they seemed to be pretty successful throwing to the flats, and seem to not want to throw to the flats here in this game because we haven't really seen it. It's been either over the middle or deep, and I don't believe the Raiders have been able to complete a pass other than the touchdown that was called back.
So Branson seems to be throwing a little bit behind the intended receivers on those plays, as it looked like Smith had a step on the defenders. Pitch to the outside. This is Dvorak, and he will get stuffed. He couldn't get around the corner. Might be a loss of yardage here. We'll see where they spot the ball. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, it seems to be interesting that Spartans have really been able to move the ball up the middle, and every time they've tried the edges, it just hasn't been there. If they move laterally, either the defensive line gets penetration and puts a stop to it, or in that case, the defensive back was right on the spot there for the Hudson Raiders. That's Luke Hansen coming up and putting a stop to that play.
So 2nd and 12 after the loss of 2. We're under 5 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Handoff goes up the middle. Maybe pick up that 2 back, maybe an extra yard. We'll set up a 3rd down and long here as this defensive battle rages on. We're at 0-0 as we wind down here in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and the Raiders' defense appears to be starting to buckle down like they did after that first drive in the first half. Seem to be kind of buckling down and getting their feet, and boy, the Spartans haven't really been able to move the ball at all here so far in this drive.
Rocky Larson will be under center for the Spartans. They've got 2 wide receivers, man in motion. The pitch to the outside. He's got a blocker in front of him, and he'll pick up the 1st down as he gets past the 40-yard line. So great play call there as the Spartans are able to pick up the 1st down. Looked like that was number 16, Dylan Rivard, as he gets around the corner, gets a few blocks, and he picks up the 1st down.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of that option. That is a play that the Spartans really like to run as the option, and seem to be saving it for kind of the right spot. Ran it right there, and we're able to pick up a 3rd down and very long.
So giving the Raiders a different look there. They pick up the 1st down. And now the keeper by Larson, and he will get stuffed right at about the 42-yard line. Pickup of a few on 1st down. And Larson is down again. So whatever he injured previously on defense, looks like he just re-aggravated.
And it doesn't look good because he's got his right leg bent and his left leg he's not bending at all. So that may be, this could be it for Rocky Larson tonight. He doesn't look like he really wants to move that leg.
Not that you don't want to win a big game like this, but it is a non-conference game. You've seen a few players for the Raiders who were in jeans on the sideline, Bo Holmes and Andy Edholm. Both players, who knows, maybe would have been able to play today, but were held out for precautionary reasons, trying to keep them fresh for the conference schedule. Might see the same thing with Rocky Larson after this play, even if he's able to get up.
Absolutely. This is a big game for Somerset. They want to win because it's all about we're going to beat the big school. I mean, the enrollment here, the disparity is huge. For Somerset, this is a big bragging rights game. For the Hudson Raiders, like you're right, Paul, they don't want to lose a game. But for the Raiders, they're thinking we need to make the playoffs. We got to look good in the BRC. We've got some tough opponents coming up in Superior and Chippewa Falls. Let's maybe not risk Andy Edholm and Bo Holmes tonight and let those guys get healthy for next week's big game against Superior and then homecoming in 2 weeks against Chippewa Falls.
3:35 left here in the 3rd quarter. It's been a defensive battle. Back and forth. There's been some good plays on offense as Rocky Larson again able to get up onto his feet, but you'd have to expect that that will be the end of his night. I don't want to play doctor here, but
it's too big. Both times he's taken a hit, he's come up kind of not looking very good. So it'll be interesting to see what the coaching staff does with him.
Coming in to play quarterback, Sean Conrad, a junior, listed as a defensive back in the program. And the handoff will go for a couple yards. We'll set up a third down. Sean Conrad, 5'11", 147 pounds.
And Paul, Rocky Larson's coming back into the game. He just put his helmet on, and he's up there talking to the coach, Bruce Larson, his dad, and probably and Bruce told him to go back to the sideline. So he came up there and wanted to play and was sent back to the sideline as number 10 comes back into the game at quarterback.
You'd like to see that in a player, though. You'd rather have him trying to get on the field than trying to stay off of it. And we'll have a stoppage of play here.
And again, Paul, we don't want to say that the Raiders don't want to win this game more than Somerset, but Somerset has to have a little bit of a David versus Goliath mentality here. They want to beat the big school and to be able to have that bragging rights to say, yeah, we took down Hudson. But and that may be what Larson's motivation is here. He really wants to play in this game. He's a senior. He wants to come out of here with a win versus Hudson.
So, Chris, you said that these teams are playing each other in home-and-home series, 2 back-to-back ones. Kind of explain how that kind of thing gets set up and goes down.
Well, it's one of those deals, the Big Rivers Conference, the Raiders have 7 conference games. So they've got 2 more games they need to fill up, and the ADs get together and say, hey, wouldn't it be neat for us to have a kind of a rivalry? You know, we're 2 pretty close schools. From what I hear, this is probably going to be the last game between these 2 opponents for a while anyway, and the WIA is talking realignment, especially in the big divisions. So the conference may look completely different next year. We don't know right now. The talk of the realignment was once shot down, and now I hear it's alive again. So the Big Rivers Conference may look completely different next year than what it looks like. So there may only be 1 non-conference game for the Raiders next year if the realignment that the WIA is talking about actually happens.
So timeout is over. We're at 3rd and 5 left with 2:53 left in the third quarter. Spartans nearing midfield. Larson is back in the game. The handoff goes up the middle, though. And it'll set up about a 4th and 2. And at midfield, difficult decision here. We'll have to see what the coaching staff decides to do.
Yeah, it seems like the Somerset Spartans have had a tough time on 4th down. The Raiders have really penetrated well and stopped them on 4th down. But you may see them try to do something different here, the way that the Raiders have played them on 4th down. They may take a shot.
And they are going for it. Rocky Larson gets the call from the sideline. Big play here. This could be a game-deciding play as we're nearing the end of the third quarter in a 0-0 game. Rocky Larson under center. Raiders almost jump off sides. Might be a hard count here just to try to get the offsides call. Waiting in the handoff. Goes to the outside and stuffed. Will not get the first down. We also have a flag on the play, but that is in holding territory. So if it is a holding, the Raiders will be able to decline the penalty and get the ball at the 48.
And Larson comes up limping again. And they did do that long count. And one of those deals, you're trying to get the offsides on that long count, but you're putting a strain on those defensive linemen. They have penetrated so well on 4th down. You make them stand there like that for a while, and hopefully you kind of fatigue them a little bit so they don't get that strong push off the line like they have. But the Raiders' conditioning must be doing themselves quite well because they still had a great push and really didn't allow Larson to get around the corner at all. So 1st down and 10 in Somerset territory for the Raiders here.
So a holding penalty was declined. The Raiders get the turnover on downs and will begin with a great field position at the 48. 4 wide receivers, Branson in the shotgun. And he's got Corum in the backfield. He's going to drop back to pass. And the stopper by Beinlich, and the ball goes through Beinlich's hands. Would have been a short completion, but he can't hold on.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul. It seems I'm a running the football type of guy, and I'm scratching my head right now. It seems like the Raiders have had success running the ball, and it seems like tonight, every time they've tried to pass the ball, bad things have happened. Nothing good has come out of it. So, in my opinion, let's keep running it.
On that play, though, that should have been a high percentage play. You took Beinlich, who usually goes deep. He stopped short, was wide open, and the ball just went through his hands. 3 wide receivers. Corum in the backfield. Handoff goes to Corum, and he'll carry it ahead. Pick up about 4 or 5 yards. We'll set up a 3rd down.
Good things happen when you run the ball. It allows your defense to rest, and you just start putting some leverage on those defensive linemen. Your offensive linemen here for Hudson, they're outsizing these guys. They're a lot bigger than the guys they're pushing up against. Let's just wear them down and move them down. This game's ticking down. There's just a minute and a half left in the third quarter. Start wearing these boys down in the fourth quarter. You're going to see some bigger holes start to open up.
1:18 left in the third. 0-0 is the score. Raiders with the ball. They're in the Spartans territory with a 3rd and 6. 2 wide receivers. 3 men in the backfield. Man in motion. Hand off to Tyler Smith. He'll get to the outside. He'll pick up the first down and get all the way down to the 20-yard line. The 30-yard line. So Tyler Smith has really been the offensive catalyst so far in this second half. 0 points on the board for either team, but Tyler Smith has been a spark for the Raiders in this half.
Every time he's touched the ball, other than the time they had the big penalty, it's turned out to be a big gain for the Raiders. So that was one thing it seemed like the Raiders were trying to do in their last possession was get the ball to Tyler Smith. And right there again, that Tyler Smith works out just fine for him.
2 wide. Corum in the backfield. 3 wide receivers, Smith in motion again. And this time it'll go to Corum. Corum will pick up a couple yards. So in a game like this, Chris, where it's 0-0 and you get deep down in your opposition's territory, does that make you more likely to go for a field goal or less likely, knowing that it's a low-scoring game and a field goal could win it for you? But high school teams do seem to trend away from the field goal and try to get the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, there's some high school teams that have really good kickers, but with your best kicker, Andy Edholm, sitting on the sidelines in jeans, you're probably going to see a team try to score a touchdown here.
Shotgun 3 wide, Corum in the backfield. Motion man is Hilden. Hilden will drop. Actually, the keeper, as Branson picks up first down yardage. He gets inside the 20. He's down around the 17. So Branson fakes to Hilden and keeps it himself and goes up the middle.
Yeah, that time the Raiders kind of put the man in motion, and Tyler Smith has been the really effective guy in motion. That time they put Hilden in motion, going to the long side of the field, and Somerset bought into it, and Davey Branson right at the middle then got on the other way and started moving the ball quite quickly deep into Somerset territory.
So that'll be the end of the third quarter. We're still deadlocked at 0, but this time the Raiders are marching, and they're getting very near that goal line as they're at the 17-yard line. They'll have a 1st and 10 here, and a very nice drive shaping up so far. But just talk about Tyler Smith a little bit. It seems like they've been in 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations. They seem to move him in motion, try to get him to the outside. There's been a couple times when he's been a block away from taking it to the house.
Absolutely, and the guy's got the speed to do it too. It's just a matter of getting around the corner and maybe getting an extra block or two, and he'll break one. He's got the speed to take it 90 yards down the field. So nice to have a couple guys like Smith and Hilden out there that can turn it for you. And really nice to see a guy like Corum last week. You know, he's like 7th in the conference in rushing after picking up 70 yards last week. You got a guy in Edholm that you know is proven, but to have a guy behind him like Corum that you can depend on is a big deal for any football team.
So now is there some sort of coaching strategy that goes into it where a guy like Tyler Smith, who's, he starts off the game, he's moving in motion a lot, but they haven't really worked him into the offensive game plan until later in the first half, and now a lot here in the third quarter. One
of the things in the way the Raiders run their motion, especially out of that shotgun, is he'll come from near the line of scrimmage, and then he'll back off into the backfield, and you'll draw a defensive lineman sometimes by doing that. Obviously, it looks like Somerset has coached their team. We haven't seen that by them, but they caught Rapids a couple times last week just by doing that. But it shows the quarterback what kind of defense that Somerset is in before the play starts. That's the point of the motion.
2 wide receivers, 3 men in the backfield, and the handoff goes to the aforementioned Smith. Smith on the sweep, maybe picks up a few yards. Set up a 2nd and long as we're underway here in the 4th.
That time there was a receiver on that far right side, so there was a defensive back out there too. And the defensive back did a really nice job of sealing that play off and not letting it go for big yards.
So set up a 2nd and 9. Tyler Smith neutralized there on his first carry of this 4th quarter. Beinlich, the 6'4 receiver, lined up to the left. And now the keeper by Branson. Branson will do that spin move again. He'll get down inside the 10-yard line. He's moving towards the end zone. Touchdown by Branson. second, third, and fourth efforts as he drags a pile of Spartans and Raiders alike into the end zone, and the first score of the game goes to the Hudson Raiders.
Yeah, that's one of those things. That's an advantage of having a big quarterback like Branson. And he never stopped. He kept pushing his way into the end zone, and there was no stopping him. He got himself into the end zone. The Somerset guys seemed to pile up on him. He got a little help from his teammates to help him push him in there, and no stopping. He gets in there for the touchdown. The Raiders are up 6-0.
So the nifty spin move gets him into a position where he can just chug those legs forward. Drags a pile for 8-9 yards into the end zone. So the Raiders, with the extra point, are now up 7-0. And in a game like this, that score could very well be the one that holds, and the Raiders could be walking out of here 2-0.
You know, it's been a long time since I was a powder puff head coach, but if I was a coach, I'd say, Davey Branson, every time you touch the ball, just spin. The guy's spun twice tonight, and both times he's spun, we've gotten huge chunks of yards, a touchdown. So maybe just throw the playbook out and just tell Davey Branson to spin. Something good will happen.
So the spin move seems to be working for Branson here today. You know, it's a dangerous move. You kind of leave yourself exposed with that spin move, kind of the ball whipping around as well. You know, added torque onto your pressure on the ball, but it's been working for him.
It's a way to stop a defense that's over-penetrating and really pursuing the ball. If you've got a defense that's really going after the ball like the Somerset team is, if you can change direction like that, good things will happen.
You got a lot of defenders that try to tackle by grabbing the jersey. Spin move, a very good way of loosening the grip. So the Raiders up 7-0. They'll kick off. End over end kick. Lands at about the 7. They'll fake the reverse this time. With it is Rivard. And Rivard runs horizontally for 20 yards, but unfortunately he only went vertically, maybe 1 or 2. So the ball will be spotted at the 15-yard line, and that is where the Spartans will set up.
Tell you, Paul, the headlines on this Hudson defense, they go to the defensive linemen, they go to the linebackers. That's kind of what's thought of as the strength of this defense. But Michael Bennett, unbelievable open field tackle there on special teams. The guy is all over the field. He's been terrific tonight. Was really good last week too.
In this low-scoring position battle game, the Spartans, with a very long field ahead of them, one of their worst starting positions of the game so far. Larson will hand up the middle. That is their trusty running back, number 29, Eric Walzak. He'll pick up a good chunk of yardage, and it seems like, every time they get the ball in Walzak's hands, he's getting, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards.
Yeah, and, Somerset hasn't been afraid to move the ball a long way either. That big drive that they had to cap off the first half, they started deep in their own ends, or deep in their own part of the field, and were able to march quite a ways.
Handoff once again up the middle. Looks like Walzak again should have picked up the first down on that carry. That will be a first down, so they'll move the chains. Clock stops at 10:39. 7-0, the Raiders are up, scoring the first points of the game here in the fourth quarter.
And Rocky Larson, after limping off the field 3 times on that last drive, he hasn't carried the ball. He's been in there at quarterback, but it's been all Walzak so far.
Handoff once again goes up the middle. This time it's stuffed. So good defensive play there by the Raiders as they had 3 different defensive linemen on him and taking him down.
Yeah, it looks to me like Somerset may not want Rocky Larson to carry the ball. That's 3 plays in a row to Walzak. And Walzak's a good running back, but they really key off of Rocky Larson being able to switch that up and give defenses a different look, something else to be afraid of. Rocky Larson being able to come around the side. So we'll see what the Spartans come up with here.
Larson hands off up the middle. Once again, this one goes for a little more yardage. Once again, that is Walzak.
Yeah, until Rocky Larson proves that he's comfortable touching the ball again and carrying it, I think the Raider defensive coaches are telling their players to key on Walzak here.
Walzak, not a huge player, 5'8", 170. Also plays linebacker. 9:25 left here in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 4 for the Spartans. Handoff up the middle to Walzak. Actually, no, it's going to be a keeper by Rocky Larson. He gets positive yardage before he is shoved back. Looks like he's going to be a little bit short of the first down, and that's going to set up a 4th and short.
He looks pretty good coming out of that tackle there. He took a pretty nice hit, but he did seem to kind of go into that line there with a little bit of hesitation, not the confident runner that he's been so far in this game. We talked a little bit about Tyler Smith being a speed burner. Walzak tore off a 94-yard run last week against Rice Lake. Walzak can really break one open too if he gets an opening.
We have our first measurement of the game, and it's a big one. If they're short, it'll be 4th and 1. It's a tough spot to go for it inside your own 40-yard line. It's going to be short, it looks like. So it's going to be 4th and inches. Maybe makes the decision a little bit easier than if it's a 4th or 1.
It's about, it looked like about a foot to me almost. The PA announcer is saying 6 inches, so now he says a foot. He must have listened to me. So we got 4th down and about a foot here, and the way this game is shaking out, looks like the Spartans decided they need to make something happen right here and right now.
Make or break play here for the Spartans. 4th and about a foot. Larson will take it, and he will just dive forward. Easy pickup on the 4th down. So a smart call there, and maybe the only scenario you'll see Larson run the ball the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's a play I really like on 4th down. There's no need to take the ball backwards into your own backfield. You've got a quarterback like Larson who's confident with the ball. Let him take it. The offensive line had a nice push that time, and Spartans able to pick up the 1st down.
When you only need 6 inches, pretty easy pickup there. Speaking of 6 inches, maybe 6 inches gained on that play.
Yeah, they went back
to 2nd and long.
Back to Walzak, and this time the linebackers and the defensive back for the Hudson Raiders are really coming up there and putting some hits on those running backs. I'm guessing Tyler Walzak's going to be a pretty sore guy tomorrow.
So really going off Walzak here, as we're under 8:22 left here in the game. Raiders are up 7-0. Larson will take it himself, and he'll cut it up field. He'll pick up about 9 yards where he will be wrapped up. So good play there by Larson, and I guess we, once again, we've been wrong in the past. We'll probably be wrong a lot more in the future. Larson getting some carries here, even on what we assumed would have been a more injured leg.
Yeah, and right there he proved that his legs feels pretty good because he made a really quick stop and changed directions and really had no problem with that. Picked up a nice gain.
3rd and 1. Have 2 downs to pick up 1 yard. Got to like their chances here. 7:44 left in the 4th quarter. Larson will turn. Quick handoff to Walzak. He will pick up the 1st down. Also pick up about 7 yards on the play. So a very effective 3rd down run there by Walzak.
Yeah, and that's back to the same type of play that they were running in their opening drive of this half. Just a quick hitter right to the middle, and it doesn't allow the Raiders defense to really get in there and break off of their blocks before the running back is through the line.
So Walzak's been the story on this drive. As Larson is under center. He's got 2 wide receivers. Man in motion. Larson will keep it himself, looking for the pitch. He'll cut it across the field, and he'll get wrapped up. Maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. Looks a little indecisive there on the option.
Yeah, that time he tried to change directions and thought he was going to outspeed the speed guys of the Raiders, and there's just too many white shirts. He turned the corner and tried to go back the other way, and there was just nowhere to go going the other way.
Rarely does that work. You have to be a very special talent to be able to cut it all the way across the field and pick up positive yardage.
Yeah, and the Raiders' defensive linemen and their linebackers are pretty fast guys. I mean, they're not slow guys up there. You got guys like Chaz Larson and Ethan Denauer, and then you've got that linebacking core. There's not a whole lot of guys that outrun those guys. And for some reason, if he was able to get past those, Michael Bennett has shown tonight that he can be all over the field. So you're right, Paul. It's going to take a special guy to pull off that type of move and a lot of speed as well.
Timeout called by the Spartans. They only have 1 left here. 6:43 left in the 4th quarter. They are trailing the Raiders 7-0. Have to see if the lack of timeouts comes back to get them. But right now they have a pretty nice drive going.
Yeah, I think the Spartans are putting all their eggs into this drive. I mean, they showed it with that 4th down when they went for it on 4th down back inside their own 40. They're putting their eggs in this drive. They're a team that likes to be methodical offensively. So they're thinking, hey, we're going to chew this whole clock down all the way down. We're not going to leave much time on the clock and try to put the ball in the end zone with maybe under a minute to go. So they're not going to be in a hurry, and I don't think they're too concerned about a second drive. I'm guessing their eggs are in the basket right here.
So far, this drive has gone over 4 minutes. All running plays. Haven't seen either team pass in a while. That's probably for the better for both teams, as they've been rather ineffective through the air. And here we go. There's a pass right there, looking deep. And the reception, that's by number 39, Luke Berkeley. And the power of suggestion from the booth. And you get your first big pass play of the game as Berkeley picks up, make it about 25 yards as the ball is down to the, looks like about the 17-yard line.
So like I said, Paul, they're going to be really methodical here and take their time working the ball down the field.
Like I said, Chris, we've been wrong before. We will be wrong many more times, probably here in this quarter. Handoff goes up the middle. Walzak, nice gain on first down.
So they come off that big pass play and go right back to the well with Walzak right down the middle. And the Raiders defense may have been on their heels a little bit after giving up that big play, and they give up another big run to Walzak.
It's a great catch by Berkeley as he had to hold up a little bit, but that gave him space as the defender of the Raiders was behind him. He just jumped up, snatched that ball out of the air for a big gain. So we're down to 5:50 left here in the fourth quarter. Spartans looking to tie it. Big formation in. And they hand off to Walzak, who bumped into Larson a little bit on the initial handoff. Might have impeded his progress a little bit, but still a decent gain.
Yeah, there's a lot of fighting going on right now down in that line, because by the time Walzak took the handoff and was on his way to the line of scrimmage, just about everybody there was kind of either down on their knees or down on their back. There was a big pile of humanity when Walzak arrived to the line of scrimmage.
Larson under center. He's got 3 men behind him in the backfield. Hand off to Walzak. Walzak dives ahead. That'll be enough for a first down. So this will set up a first and goal, I believe, as it looks like he got down to about the 9-yard line. So
yep.
we're at 5 minutes left here in the game. 7-0. The Raiders are up. Spartans looking to tie it up here.
We've retired the chains. It's about first down and goal from the 10-yard line. This is about as far as you can go with having a first down and goal and not having an opportunity to get a first down. So a long set of downs here, but 4 downs, I'm guessing, for Somerset here to get the ball into the end zone.
And a timeout is called by the Spartans. They have just used their final timeout here with 4:48 left. And you were talking earlier about all the eggs in the basket of this one drive, and now they've really gone all in here as they've used all their timeouts for the remainder of this quarter, as they're down at the 9-yard line, actually the 10-yard line for the first and goal.
Time's not going to be a factor here for Somerset getting the ball into the end zone, but I'm sure what they don't want to do is calling that timeout stops the clock for the Raiders and gives them an opportunity to have a few more seconds on the clock when they get the ball back here, whether it be off of a kickoff or whether or not they stop here on fourth down. But time's not going to be an issue here for the Spartans getting the ball in the end zone, but the coaches probably would have liked to have that clock keep running right now rather than being in a stop position.
Yeah, with 0 timeouts left as well. If the Spartans turn it over here or they get stopped on a fourth down, suddenly time
will be against them. Yeah.
Suddenly against them very heavily with no timeouts here. But they're not worried about that as they're looking to tie it up. They have 4:48 left here in the fourth quarter. Spartans, or Raiders, with the only touchdown of the game on the Branson carry on their previous drive. Larson, handoff up the middle, and Walzak gets into the end zone, waiting for the official signal. And there it is. The touchdown makes it 7-6, and pending the extra point, the Spartans will have tied the game with 4:44 left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, if you don't think there's a little bit of David and Goliath going on here, you're really wrong. I mean, these people are really pumped up. It's a non-conference game. It doesn't really mean anything, but this Somerset crowd and this Somerset football team really wants to win this game.
Don't tell Walzak it's David versus Goliath. He'd like to more liken it to David versus David, and it looks like they're going for two here, so they're going to go for the victory. Larson under center. He'll keep it, and he may have gotten stuffed. And they do not get it, so the Raiders hold on to the lead 7-6. So the Spartans run onto the field with the offense. They go for two, and Larson on the keeper gets shut down at the goal line.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a product of trying to roll the dice and go for the win, or if that's a product of maybe just not having a kicker. I would guess it could be either one. I mean, this team obviously wanted to win, and maybe they thought that was their best chance to win, but they may also have had an issue where they just don't have a kicker. But I would think if they wanted to tie this ball game up, they could have.
So 7-6, the Raiders hold on to the lead. And we know one thing, Chris, there will not be overtime here today.
Yeah, it's hard to get a one-pointer at this point. So
we still have an injured player down for the Spartans back at the 5-yard line.
Laying down on the field right about the 2-yard line, but looks like he's coming up on his feet, and then he'll walk out. That's Rocky Larson.
Larson having a recurring problem here with his leg. You know, you got to give him a little credit for wanting to stay in the game, but at what point do you not risk it?
Yeah, he's gutting it out. He wants to win this ball game, and as a senior coming in, it means a lot to you to be on the field.
So we'll see what the kickoff here is. 0 timeouts left for the Spartans. Really going to hurt them now. So they're lined up. Doesn't look like anything tricky quite yet, and the kick will go deep. Raiders had a lot of players up, so maybe not a lot of room to run here on this return. Pretty good return, given that it was a very conservative blocking scheme there, as they had to watch for the onside kick.
Yep, the Raiders start off here just on the other side of their own 30, so that's a pretty decent spot to start, and they don't need to score here. There's 4.5 minutes left to go in this game. You just get about 3 or 4 first downs, and this game is over. But Somerset Spartans need to stop here. Again, the game's over.
Expect to see a lot of Spencer Corum and a lot of Davey Branson on the ground on this drive. Shotgun. 2 wides. Man in motion. And they'll give it to the motion man. He gets shut down. Clock will continue to wind. So good stop there.
Yeah, Luke Berkeley sealed that one right off and didn't allow the Raiders to turn that one into a big gainer. Actually, maybe just got the ball just past the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and long here.
2 wide receivers again. And as usual, you have Tilden and Smith split out left and right with Corum in the backfield. Now you got the keeper by Branson. Branson tries to jump over a pile, but he gets wrapped up. We'll set up a 3rd down and long. Clock working in the favor of the Raiders, though.
The Spartans took a crack at that ball right there, too. They're looking to turn a fumble and be able to get some really nice field position. You really need to concentrate on protecting the ball here on 3rd down and long.
Yeah, Branson got airborne on that one. That's always a dangerous situation. Was able to hold on to the ball, though. Raiders taking their time in the huddle here as they'll try to wind that play clock down as far as possible. Same formation, shotgun. Branson in the backfield. Raiders call a timeout here. So they'll try to draw up a play here as it's 3rd and 8. You'd like to get the first down here. Maybe, you know, in this situation, you maybe don't shut down going through the air, because if you get stopped, you know, you're not going to wind the clock down all that much.
One thing we haven't seen here tonight is a pass to the flats. I mean, this is where I'd like to see a screen play. I mean, again, it's a high percentage pass play. There's a good chance you'll complete it and be able to keep that clock moving even if you don't get the first down. And you have to think, if you run a pass play, that Somerset's going to be pursuing that quarterback. So this might be a really opportune time to run that screen. We haven't seen many passes go out into the flats like we did last week.
Seen a lot of the passes in the gotta-have-them situations go over the middle and either get deflected by the defense or go off the fingertips of either Hilden or Smith. But, you know, they've shown by repeatedly going to that it must be a play that they trust in practice. So we'll see what they decide to do here.
They ran a really nice slant last week that went incomplete, but it was there. I'm sure they were looking for that same type of play in this game, but just hasn't been there so far tonight.
They've also gone to Smith a few times to pick up large chunks of yardage. We'll see what they do here. They've got two wide receivers. Branson, hands off to Corum. Corum dives ahead, and he can't get to the first down. He's going to be short by a yard or two. And that's going to have to be a punt for the Raiders. They can't at this point go for it and give the field position back to the Spartans.
Yeah, it's about a 4th down and 4, and that's usually some yardage that Coach Coles is pretty comfortable with. But at this point in the game and in this spot in the field, you're definitely going to see a punt here.
So they'll let the clock go all the way down, and really, clock not that much of a factor considering that first downs will stop the clock. So if you're going to sustain a drive, you're going to get quite a few first downs anyways. And the last time, as the punt is being lined up, low snap, and they're going to run around with it and then punt it down so they get that up man to come up. Not a bad play, but we do have a flag down. This could be on the Raiders, a very interesting formation.
Yeah, that's not a bad play, though. It runs a few more seconds off the clock, and it made Somerset's coverage come up, so they were able to punt the ball and make sure there wouldn't be a return. So actually that's a pretty solid play, and some people are saying down here below us that this penalty could be against Somerset, and if it is, it'll be a first down for the Raiders.
I think he was joking around.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately. We got duped by a heckler.
I'm a literal thinker here.
So push the Raiders back, and they will punt again. That time remains off the clock, though, so. Actually, maybe it doesn't. They technically should add it back on if it was before the snap. Illegal shift by the Raiders.
And unfortunately for the Raiders, that kind of exposes their strategy as well.
So it's just bonus yardage here. Play clock starts all over. Raiders line up for the punt. They'll do the same thing. And a wobbler goes down the field. That'll take a Raider bounce. And it'll continue to go inside the 25, down at the 23 with 1:59 left. Spartans have to get on the board. If they kick a field goal or score a touchdown, they will have the lead. But right now, the Raiders up 7-6.
Well, I really like that strategy on the punt. Allows your coverage to get down the field, and Somerset really didn't have any opportunity to make a return on that punt. You kind of move your punter around a little bit, make it a little bit of a short kick there, and even though it's a short, kind of a low kick, if there's no opportunity to make a return or no opportunity to get up there and stop that ball, your coverage team gets down there, it's going to make it difficult for Somerset to be able to do anything. So Rocky Larson back in at quarterback.
Here we go. Larson on the keeper. He'll pitch it to the outside. Maybe pitched it a little bit too soon. There was not a whole lot of pursuit on Larson before he pitched out. Looked like the carry went to number 29. That's Eric Walzak.
I'll tell you, that's one thing I noticed about the Raiders last week and again here tonight. They do a great job of tackling in the open field. If they give up a big play, it's usually the player breaking through that line and going up the middle. If there's an open field tackle to be made, they usually make it.
And they did a great job of not over pursuing on there, as really neither option for Larson was good there. He'll drop back to pass on this play. He's got a man in the flats who just drops the ball. That was kickoffer, the senior, right on his fingertips, and he dropped it.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty disappointing. I mean, he had this man out there in the flats. Could have been a nice 4 or 5 yard gain, and had he been able to break a tackle, he could have turned it even more, because that's an isolation play out there. You're throwing the ball out there and hoping your player can break a tackle and run down the field. And that's exactly what that's about, is creating a one-on-one situation out there in the flat.
Just like that, 1:18 left, and a lot of field in front of him. Larson will drop back. He's looking for a receiver downfield. Ball is up for grabs. Had two Raiders defenders in the area, and it tipped off some fingers and fell harmlessly to the ground around the 45. This will set up a 4th down and 8 with 1:13 left in the game.
Well, I think we know what's going to happen here. They've passed twice in a row on 2nd and 3rd down. Now they're sitting here in 4th and 8. They're going to have to take another shot here to get themselves a 1st down and keep this game going. If they don't get it here, it's a Raider victory.
Biggest play of the game here for the Spartans. They're down by a point. The handoff goes up the middle, and they caught the Raiders' defense off guard. Great play call, if not very risky by the Spartans, as they pick up the 1st down by Eric Walzak. What do you think of that call, Chris?
Well, like I said, they're going to have to pass it there, and the pass play works great.
You could call that a Walsy play.
Sometimes you run a draw or something in that situation because you expect the defense is thinking you're going to pass too, and once you get past that initial burst of tacklers, there's usually not anybody back there for a while because your defensive backs are playing the pass.
And they spiked the ball on 1st down. Interesting move. 1:07 left in the game. Handoff up the middle. Walzak's got some space. And he'll be near the 1st down. We'll see where they spot it. And they moved the chains already, so I guess they'll call that a 1st down.
Yeah, I don't think Larson's going to spike it here. He just realized that they stopped that clock, and they're going to go here.
Clock still hasn't started, and now he'll spike it.
Yeah, not sure.
4 seconds came off the play clock.
Not sure what's going on there with the clock stopping. You move the chains. There's really not a lot of reason to spike that ball. You know, you've got a good 10 seconds to get a play together and get up there in the line of scrimmage and run it. I would be surprised to see him do that again. I'm guessing he's getting a little coaching here and saying, let's not do that next time.
The chain gang kind of made their own call there before the ball was officially spotted. They began to move. Larson drops back. He's looking to pass. And he eludes some defenders. He's got some space. He'll cut it towards the middle, and he'll get tackled around the 45. Time continues to run as that was not a 1st down inside 50 seconds. 3rd and 1. And had some movement up front. Nothing called, though. And Walzak is tackled, and he might be short of the 1st down.
Yeah, this is going to be real interesting. And, again, this is where that spike comes in, because it would be 3rd down right now had that spike not happened. So this is a big play here. 4th down and about a half of a yard.
4th and 1, 26 seconds left on the clock. Handoff up the middle. He gets stuffed. We'll see where they mark it, but that could be the game.
This is going to be a judgment call by the officials here because the runner did move the ball further than where he ended up at the end of the run here. So this is really just comes down to the mark and where the officials mark the ball.
And it looks from here that they marked it short, but again, Chris, we've been wrong so many times, I hate to.
Yeah, I think I'm done predicting things tonight. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen next. They're going to bring the chains out. They've moved the players out of the way, and we'll get a measurement. But this comes down solely on the spot here.
The chain looked like it was on. Looks like it needed to be just inside the 44-yard line, on the other side of the 44-yard line, and it looks like it got spotted on the wrong side if you're a Spartan fan.
Yeah, tough to tell from here because the Spartan players were all in the way, but that's looking short.
So the Raiders, with a huge defensive stop on 4th down, will be able to take one snap and walk out of Somerset, Wisconsin with a 2-0 record.
Yeah, I think that Coach Coles is going to have a few things to work on here in the week here ahead to the Superior game. The Raiders are going to come out with 2 wins in the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that he's going to be completely satisfied with the way this team has played in the last 2 weeks. But the important thing is you come out with a victory, you work hard, you want to win the game, and they've been able to do that. But this team's been far from where I think Coach Coles wants them to be, and probably far from where the players want to be. I think they expected to come out and look quite dominant, and last week they had a kind of a sluggish start, and this week they had a sluggish start too. They looked really good at times, and then there was other times where where they didn't look very good. So there's going to be some work to do, and they're going to be playing a Superior team next week, who, again, they've faced Stevens Point and DC Everest in successive weeks. They've seen two of the best football teams in the state in successive weeks. So when the Raiders come up there next week, they're going to be Superior is going to be used to playing top talent, where the Raiders come off, and I don't want to slight the Somerset Spartans. They're two-time defending Middle Border Conference champions. They're a good football team, but they're not a Division I football team. They're just a little smaller school. They've got a heck of a program that they've built up here, and I mean, they're going to have a great season. They went toe-to-toe with the Division I football team tonight and looked very good, but Superior Spartans next week are going to be a big test for this Hudson Raider team, and they're just simply going to have to play better than they have in the last 2 weeks to come out of that game with a win.
So the offense looked very sluggish for the Raiders. A lot of things to tighten up as far as penalties are concerned. They had a lot of penalties where the momentum seemed to shift totally towards the Raiders' side. Then they get called for a face mask, or they get the offensive pass interference that negates the touchdown. Just a lot of different penalties and things they need to shore up, but defensively, you have to like the effort that they gave here today.
Yeah, they look very good. The defensive line, the linebackers are very solid. The great thing that you see out of this Hudson Raider defense is they don't miss tackles, and that's a big thing. If you can play a football game as a defense and not miss tackles, you're always going to have yourself in a position to win a game. You lose games on defense by missing tackles, just simple execution. But the way this team tackles, they're going to be in a lot of football games. They just need to get those miscues. They need to get rid of those penalties. Holdings have hurt them this week and last week. Again, you talked a little bit earlier about the different penalties that have either slowed down drives for the Raiders or else gave the Spartans a chance to kind of keep their drive moving. So they're going to have to clean up those penalties when they get into this Big Rivers Conference schedule here next week.
You mentioned that defensive line for the Raiders. They give up quite a few fourth down conversions, but if you had to rank the top three in importance in this game, they pretty much shut them down any time where it really came down to needing a big stop. They got it, whether it be right before the first half, down around their own goal line, they came up with the big stop, and right at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that comes from your guys up front. And when you can come up with fourth down plays, that's just a matter of your guys up front, overpowering the guys up front for the other team. And again, we've talked a little bit over the last 2 weeks. The Hudson Raiders defense, and really offense as well, if there's a strength there, it's those guys up front. They're the guys that power the defense and allow the linebackers to do what they do. And on the offensive side, when the offensive line does their job, it allows those running backs time to get around the corner and allows the quarterbacks to throw the ball downfield when they do that.
So the Raiders, with the 7-6 victory, probably expected to come out here and be able to pull out a victory. Maybe not the way they envisioned it, as it was still 0-0 coming into the fourth quarter. But they go 2-0 through their non-conference schedule as they get ready to play Superior. Next week, we will be covering that game as well up in Superior on Channel 15. You'll be able to watch the replay of this throughout the week. But Raiders go 2-0 with the win last week and the win here in Somerset, Wisconsin. Chris, any final thoughts?
Hey, it's going to be a big game next week. We talked a little bit on the way up here. It'll be interesting to see if Superior comes out and plays like a team that's seen top talent over the last 2 weeks and sees the Raiders as kind of a team that they've seen better players before, or if they come out and they're just beat up from playing that tough schedule. I don't want to slight the Raiders either, but DC Everest and Stevens Point have proven over the last 10 years that they're two of the top programs in the state, and for Superior to open up their season with those two games, they're looking at toughening their team up with those 2 games.
So from Robert A. Seibel Memorial Field in Somerset, Wisconsin, the Raiders win 7-6. For Channel 15, for Chris Larson, I'm Paul Winkles. We'll see you next week in Superior.